You're listening to the Wrigleyville Nation podcast. Season ticket holders and lifelong fans with neighborhood ties discuss Cubs news and neighborhood happenings. Here's your hosts, Jeremy and Pat.
Hello and welcome to the Wrigleyville Nation podcast. This is episode 417 of the podcast. My name is Jeremy Deemer and I'll be your host. I'm joined as always by my co-host. He's my cousin and he's high atop Wrigleyville tonight. How's it going, Pat?
It's going well, Jeremy.
We had a great time at the come-from-behind victory against the White Sox last night.
Is that your way of apologizing for being late on this week's podcast?
That's why we are delayed a day on releasing the podcast. But we are here today, and we have a lot to talk about. We'll recap the week that was. We'll talk about all the news, preview the week that will be. We'll close the show, as we always do, by guessing the lineups and remembering some guys. And to help us do that, longtime friend of the show, you know him from his work at the Pointless Exercise podcast, Andy Dolan. Thanks for taking time out to talk Cubs with us tonight.
Well, thanks for having me. I always have a good time.
And it was a good time last night. We'll get to that game. We talked a lot about it pre-show, but we will get to that game. But first, we got to start at the beginning of the week. Since last we podcasted, the Cubs went to Washington. They took care of 2 of 3 against the Nats, which was good to see. The Cubs, we had Shota and Jake Irvin on the Tuesday game, where the Cubs won 8-6. You had PCA hitting his 27th home run, Suzuki hitting his 20th home run, and Alex Bregman staying hot, hitting his home run. That was the story of the Nats series, too, as well. It was Alex Bregman staying hot.
Any concern from either of you that, Imanaga seems to be one of these pitchers who gets kind of hot and then kind of cold. And at the end of May, beginning of June, he was giving up like 6 or 7 runs every game. The rest of the year, he was great. And now lately, it feels like he's not that bad per se, but the last couple starts, I'm a little concerned that he has a penchant, as you know, for giving up home runs. And I guess the real test is, are there people on base when he does it? Because 2 solo shots in 5 or 6 innings is fine, but a 2-run and a 3-run, different ballgame.
Yeah, he gave up 3 home runs in that game.
Yeah, and when you start giving up multiples of 3 or more, it's probably bad just in general.
Yeah, a little bit.
On Wednesday, Elk Grove Village's own Jackson Kent took on David Peterson. And we got to see a Cubs victory, 12-6. Bregman, this is his big 3-homer game.
This is the Bregman game, as they call it now.
7 RBIs in the game for Bregman. Andy, your thoughts on what a difference a hot Bregman makes to this lineup?
Yeah, it's about time, right? But yeah, it's especially with Bush not slugging. It's nice to have another guy towards the top of the line. It's nice that the lineup doesn't go 1-2 and then nothing, which it had been for quite a while. So yeah, it's very welcome that Bregman is showing up.
Thursday, we had the Nats securing a victory as Cavalli took on Kevin Gossman.
Didn't you know, like a day game, after winning the first 2, they were just gonna. It's almost like I can write the script for these things. It's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna lose this game.
Yeah, the wheels fell off in the 5th for these guys. Ortiz's
and they left Gossman in to bleed out too. By the way, I thought that was a little bit confusing to me.
Welcome to the team.
Yeah, no kidding.
With 2 outs in the 7th, Michael Bush was able to break up the no-hitter. But 10 strikeouts for Cavalli.
Break it up as no one else the rest of the game made an effort to break it up. It was the sole hit of the game. We came within 1 Michael Bush out away from getting Cole Hamled, or whatever you want to call it. Wasn't that the last time some fateful Saturday afternoon against the Phillies back in 2018 when we got no hit?
The only time still since 1965. Yeah.
That's like the only time in my lifetime. That's why I remember it so well. I remember where I was actually.
So does Odubel Herrera.
Yes.
Do you remember he almost completely misplayed the last ball of the game?
Yeah.
He had to dive forward to catch it. Yeah.
The Cubs, after taking care of business in Washington, come home to take on the St. Louis Cardinals in a series that we discussed last week. Pat was concerned. This was one that was going to be tough because they're just always weird. And
My 3-3 weekly prediction played out win, lose at Washington, and then 1 out of 3 somehow in St. Louis. And sadly, age has its privileges, I guess, but that's sort of where we went.
The only highlight of the weekend, Andy, was Clay Holmes on Friday, pitching at home against Libertor, and this was a Cubs 3-0 victory. You had Holmes with a great debut, and you had Zephyr John in relief, having a bounce back outing for him, and Webb with the save. Shortest game of the year too.
Yeah. That was really fast. I texted you at one point during that game. What did I text you?
Yeah, you're like, this. What is this game? Like an hour?
Yeah, I was like, this game's going really fast because it was like an hour in, and we're in the 6th inning or something.
I thought when it happened, I thought Holmes was the 2nd or 3rd best starter traded at the deadline. I mean, and the best with a broken leg. And then it turns out the Cubs almost didn't get him.
Yeah.
He was traded to the Mets, but the Mets flunked one of the Diamondbacks prospects physicals, and so they called off the trade, and the Cubs ended up with him instead.
That would have been a really rough trade deadline, especially after the fake trade for
Reed Detmers. Yeah,
Reed Detmers. That would have been a 1-2 punch that I don't think we. I was skeptical the Cubs were going to get 2 quality starters, but once you get one and and then seemingly you get another and then they take it away, but people are like, oh no, we'll get Clay Holmes. And then if we had not, that would have been really, not only would it have been painful and Cub-like, but it also would have been very difficult for this rotation, as we have now seen, not to have both of them.
And I wonder if they still would have traded for Tyrone Taylor, who at least is now hiding Ian Happ and his 156 batting average against left-handed pitchers. But I wondered if they were just going to make that trade. Yeah, he's going to pinch run for the wrong guy.
Yeah.
The Friday game being the only highlight of the weekend. Saturday, Boyd pitching for the Cubs got Baez'd, not the Javier variety, but the Joshua Baez debut.
The guy has 3 hits in his career in like 16 at-bats, but they were his first 3 at-bats.
3 home runs in his first 3 major league at-bats.
None since.
Yeah, he's gone 14 as of now. He's gone 14 hitless at-bats ever since. Yeah. He can only hit Matt Boyd. It's kind of like a Miles Mastroboni could only hit Paul Skeens.
Right. I'll say this is in Boyd's defense. This is his first bad start since April, so I'll give him that. Right? I mean, we
saw him. This happened to him a couple of times last year, and they would be one-offs where he didn't have command, and then he'd get behind and he'd throw a pitch somebody could smoke. The pitch to me that's unforgivable, and the Cubs do this way too much. You have a rookie and first pitch fastball, really. Like, he's not going to swing at that. Like, he's not. Like, that's the one pitch he's actually looking for. And I thought, they're using the Aristides Aquino scouting report.
Our red.
I looked it up. Who hit 5 homers in his first 3 games against the Cubs, including a 3-homer game.
I could have sworn he hit 5 homers first 3 at bats against the Cubs, but given how far they were going, that was Boyd's only his 2nd loss of the year. First one was opening day when he was lights out, except for when they hit the ball. Like, he struck out 7 guys. He got like 11 outs. 7 were strikeouts, and then he got tattooed every time somebody put the ball in play, which is a weird start. Yeah. And then since then, 8 in a row. I know wins aren't, the end all be all, but I'll take Boyd in my rotation in the playoffs.
Well, I think it would have been nice for me to look this up. I think the Cubs had only lost one of his starts before Saturday. So even if he wasn't getting the win, they were winning.
Yeah.
So
that's right. Like, the only other loss was they did lose that 10th inning game to the Cardinals, where he pitched 7 shutout innings and they gave up 2 runs in the 10th.
That's right.
Yeah, not his fault.
I do think it was 2. They had the graphic up, I think.
Yeah, can't blame him for pitching a 7-inning shutout, 4-hitter, only to have your bullpen choke it up in the 10th after you got the lead.
Is that was the Trent Thornton game?
Yeah.
You think?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I thought that was the game the Cubs were going to win if they were going to win the 2 out of 3. And of course, when they didn't, it portended poorly for the next day.
You weren't excited about the return of Edward Cabrera?
Well, yeah. I was told by, I don't know, one of the Bruce Levine or somebody, for what it's worth, that Edward Cabrera is going to pitch in the bullpen, high, like 1 inning at a time, like high velocity, high leverage. And then next thing I heard is he's starting. And I'm like, why don't we bring him back and let him throw a game out of the bullpen before we actually entrust an entire start to him?
Yep.
Ideally, a great time for him to pitch would have been, believe it or not, on Saturday when the Cubs are down 7-1.
Yep.
That would have been a great time to bring him in just to see how he's doing, because I've been to several of his games this year, none of which were particularly fun to watch. And let's prove it here. It's not as if he was pitching well and got hurt. Oh, gee, can't wait to get him back. He'd been pitching horribly before the injury. And he's consistent. He kept it up.
He got rocked, home runs to Burleson, Walker, just a total blowout, and straight to the IL. So a guy you don't want to see on your playoff roster.
And can I just say,
rotation.
Please just say that this whole thing, like, oh, yeah, I got rocked, but see, I was developing a blister, and that's why I couldn't throw. I couldn't feel the ball. I'm like, well, did you tell anybody? Like, I don't. That's not an excuse. The excuse is if you have a blister on your hand, you can't throw a curveball or slider, and you say to your coach or manager, hey, I've got a blister and I can't throw a curveball or slider, I'm dead out there. And they're like, sorry, man, we need you to just go out there and try your best. Okay, fine, that's not your fault. But the Cubs apparently didn't know that he had this alleged blister at the time of the game, right? So I don't buy that whole or the whole secret injury thing, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty clear that they didn't know he had it because Craig was leaving him in to basically get work in.
Yeah.
He threw 70. He left him in at least 10 batters longer than he should have. He threw 70 some pitches.
So it was just a complete disaster of a game.
Disaster of a game. Cabrera to the IL. When he does come back, do you think they're actually going to put him in the bullpen this time?
That's what they said, but
he will have the advantage. Well, and
would you trust him in those high leverage situations?
Well, I think it's one where they'll let him do it in September to see if he's any good at it, and if he's not, then he's going to be watching the playoff games with a hoodie.
On September 1st, you're allowed 2 extra players, right?
Yeah, one pitcher.
It's one of those years I wish it was unlimited because we could actually use it.
Yeah.
But you get 2 players. So I had in my back of my mind, I was thinking, okay, well, Matt Shaw's one. Now that was before the Swanson injury, but Matt Shaw was going to be one of the backups. And then the second one would be Assad, right? Because they would bring him. But now that Cabrera is out, did they bring Assad back? I don't think they did. They did. Okay.
Yeah, I wondered if he even left.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
They're kind of like,
I've seen this guy pitch enough. I'm just going to sit over here and wait it out.
At the rate we get hurt, save us the bus ticket. Why don't you just hang around for a day? And he came right back.
So I guess it'd be Cabrera and Shaw then that would come back on September 1st.
Yeah, but I think because Craig never ever wanted to use Triantos, I think that he was always holding Shaw's spot.
Yeah.
So I think that other spot is like Justin Dean or Kevin Alcantara, I think. Or we've even heard that they might go 3 catchers and bring Owen Ayers up, which I don't understand why you go through all that, try to open a 40-man spot for a guy to catch twice or whatever.
Alcantara's already on the team though, so
well, he's up now because he replaced Triantos and the great Owen Miller replaced Dansby. Yeah. Because they were going to need an infielder, and Craig's like, well, I need somebody who's not James Triantos.
So let's say Dansby comes back Owen Miller, we hardly knew you, leaves, then the one spot, the Alcantara spot would then be the Shaw spot.
Yep.
Which they could do anytime. They don't have to wait. In fact, if you're going to miss your shortstop, and I like Pedro Ramirez, but it'd be nice. I'd actually like to have Shaw right now healthy to be able to fill in at second base.
Well,
to see if he can play it.
Honestly, they need Shaw so they don't have to DH Michael Conforto.
Yeah. Right.
Hitting 190 since like the middle of June. I mean, it's not like everybody acts like he had had the homer against the Sox. He had the walk-off like he's having this great year. He's not. And he's just making a lot of outs.
So with these moves, let's talk about what a playoff rotation looks like for the Cubs. Andy, I'll start with you. What as of the time of this recording, based on the sample sizes we've seen, what would you slot as your playoff rotation?
I mean, I would think what they're hoping is it's going to be Boyd, Holmes, and then either Gossman or Shota. And I would think they want it to be Gossman, but he's got to pitch better than he pitched for the Blue Jays for the last 2 months he was there. And then who knows, if Ben Brown's back, I don't think there's any way he's a starter again. He would be the like 2-inning relief guy. Who am I forgetting? David Peterson. I think that's kind of why they were going to put him in the bullpen, because I think they think that's his playoff role. I don't know.
I think it might
like
depend a little bit on the teams they match up against, but Imanaga's a lefty, Boyd's a lefty, right? So that's unless you're facing a heavy left-handed lineup, you'd probably want to have Holmes and Gossman, who are righties. Yes, you can afford to have Boyd, even though he's lefty, and then maybe they go with Peterson as their fourth starter. Let's see. Right? I don't know. It's not going to be Ray. Of course, Tyon is long departed. It's probably not going to be Assad. They don't seem to like Assad, although he seems to outperform his peripherals quite a bit.
Yep.
In a playoff scenario, you only need 4 starters tops, right? Yeah. So you can either choose between Imanaga or Peterson, depending on Peterson's lefty too. So it's right. Yeah, I went my whole life with like no left-handed pitchers in the Cubs starting rotation, and now all we have are lefties. It's the weirdest thing.
That's why they got Greg Hibbert.
Yeah, right.
They hadn't had a lefty starter for like 8 years. So they got Greg Hibbert. It's funny. Somebody on Blue Sky was doing the math and claiming that the reason they sent Assad down was to manipulate his service time. It was like, where did you ever get the impression that the Cubs worry about when Javier Assad is going to go to arbitration or free agent?
Yeah. Mr. 509 FIP, but 359 ERA. Yeah. So I guess part of that too is it doesn't seem like Ben Brown's coming back this year. I know they talked about maybe having come out of the bullpen, but
I think they think he is going to come back.
They were trying to sound positive about it too.
Do they still think Justin Steele's going to come back?
I really wonder about that.
Sure, haven't heard anything about that recently.
I haven't heard a word about Justin Steele. And if Justin Steele were to come back and pitch out of the bullpen, he'd be throwing in the minors now, right? Because September is in a week, or not a week, but 2 weeks.
He's rapid. Both of them are running out of time. Brown needs to start pitching if he's going to be able to do it.
That's right. And they got to get this, and then the Palencia thing. Like they got to figure out what the bullpen's going to be like too, in addition to the rotation, because I think some of that kind of in the playoffs last year they did not include Assad on the playoff roster against the Brewers, or maybe even against the Padres, right? But they did have Imanaga, but then they were afraid to use Imanaga at all under any circumstance, starter or reliever. So
he just sat there game 5. He didn't warm up.
Sat there. So what you have to make a decision, like do you trust whoever your 5th starter is? Do you want him out of the bullpen or not? David Peterson, maybe. If Imanaga is not one of your top 5 starters, do you want him pitching out of the bullpen? I don't know. They didn't last year. Maybe they would this year.
And like, where's Hobie Milner? Wasn't he like on the verge of a return? Yeah. I don't think he's back. Maybe he just really likes Des Moines, and they just.
And then you get to the
he won't answer the phone. I like it here. I like the steak de Burgo. I'm not leaving.
We get to that situation where, just in the bullpen itself, you're going to run out of slots. Like if Valencia comes back, if Ben Brown comes back, if Cabrera pitches out of the bullpen, what 3 pitchers are you now kicking out? I mean, I can think of a couple. One being Caleb Thielbar.
I was going to say, as this goes on, it feels like every day Caleb Thielbar shows up and like hopes his key card works to get him into the building. Like, it worked again. All right, I can give up another homer tonight. It's like,
his FIP is actually lower than his ERA. He might have a 5.54 ERA. His FIP's only 5.30.
Oh. God.
Yeah. So there's one, but then you bring a Hobie Milner back. That's 4 people. We've now eliminated 1. Trent Thornton obviously is on the, potential chopping block, depending. Ryan Rollison's going to have to stay. He's a lefty, and he
has to stay, and he has to pitch in every game.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I think
Paul Ossenbacher style.
That's why I think they went and put Peterson in the bullpen. They're going to have to start him again now, but I think that's why they put him in the bullpen. I think they thought playoff wise, their lefties would likely be Rollison and Peterson, because Milner, even when he's healthy, didn't ever strike anybody out. And Thielbar, I love Boog is always like, well, his walk rate is really low and his strikeout rate's really high. Yeah. And so is his home run rate. And so, no, we don't want that.
Yeah.
But you still have Turd Ferguson.
Yes.
He's waiting to return. He's anxiously waiting to return.
The Cubs have pitchers like, I don't know what it is, but like, in the modern age of baseball, most bullpens have guys who strike out like 9 per 9 or more, right? And you look at Hobie Milner and Trent Thornton, and you're like, these guys strike out like 4 guys per 9 innings. Like this is like 1980s relief pitchers.
Well, and even like the one guy they spent real money on, Phil Maton, doesn't strike anybody out.
Well,
I mean,
let's hope he doesn't get the opportunity.
Well, no, I think they basically have told Phil, we'll make up a knee injury for you and you can just take the rest of the year off. Yeah. But they paid him and it's not like he came in this year and didn't strike anybody out. He never struck anybody out. It didn't fit the profile of the kind of bullpen arm you actually spend money on. He's the kind of guy and the reason their bullpen is the way it is Jed has got this idea that he can just rebuild it every year and he can just do it off spare parts and it's cheap and we get older guys. And it's bit him 3 times since he's been GM. It's like, maybe invest a little bit in that. How about a couple of guys that you can count on and then you can tinker with the rest of the bullpen, but don't start over every time.
Part of the problem has been that the closer inevitably is either completely ineffective and gets cut or gets hurt. Like Alzolay, the young guys, Alzolay and Palencia, right? Both got hurt. Okay, I get, like fair enough. Like they got hurt.
The Alzolay one, I mean, that David Ross should wear that forever. Like that. Well, what was that year? Was that 23 when he got to a point where he would only use Fulmer, Leiter, and Adbert, no matter what the score was, and all 3 of them, he ruined all 3 of their careers.
Yeah. At least Leiter got a 2-year, 3-year deal out of it first. But so the young guys have failed. All the Astros fail, right?
Hector Neris, Ryan Presley.
The old joke. Yeah. Remember Steve Stone when the Cubs kept getting guys like Micah Bowie and Joey Nation and Andy Pratt.
All the Braves, right?
He's like, if John Schuerholtz calls and offers you a pitcher, hang up.
Yeah.
That should be the same with Dana Brown. If Dana Brown calls you and offers you a pitcher, hang up. You don't want him.
The only successful guy who the Cubs signed or had at the start of a season who made it to the All-Star break pitching well in Jed's entire era, I think, is David Robertson. And they traded him.
Yeah.
For Ben Brown.
They got guys. Remember that? Wasn't that was it Michael Givens? I always get his name wrong. Like that year on that terrible team, he actually built a good bullpen and he spun those guys off for.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying
Efros,
I know, but I think he thought I think he just thought he could just do that every year. And the bullpen was awful in 24 and it killed their whole season. And it's like, just, build a good one would be nice. I mean, I give him credit. I couldn't understand why they would spend all that effort on Brad Keller and then not keep him. Well, he got Tommy John disease. Yeah. R.I.P. Tommy John. Right. So I guess it's the comp I always use, and they did it with Thielbar. I thought Jed's whole thing was, okay, we never bring these guys back because these guys never have 2 good years in a row. And I always think the best example of it is Brian Dunsing. His first year with the Cubs, he was amazing.
Signed to a 3-year deal. Why not?
You were like, bring him in. Let's go to Dunsing. Come on, bring. Yeah. Why isn't Dunsing up? And the next year, he couldn't get anybody out. Just awful. And it's like, well, I think
they made the right move this year with Pomerantz by not re-signing him. And then when he got
him again anyway.
Yeah, they brought him up for a couple games. And they're like, okay, yeah, you do suck, and then let him go.
That one seemed. I was amazed he made it through the season last year. When they got to the end, I think he was too. When he got to the end of the year, he's like, whoo, I did it. I mean, that wouldn't have made any sense to actually pay money to bring him back. And that's why I was shocked they did it with Thielbar, because you kind of felt the same thing. Like, he'd been bad his last 2 years with the Twins. Came to the Cubs, he was good. He's 39 years old. It's like, all right, go find somebody else. They're like, we're bringing Caleb back. Like, oh, okay, great.
So you point, I think it was that you're thinking of the 2022 season. When Jed was able to put together, he put together the closers, David Robertson, who was good, really good.
Yep.
He had Brandon Hughes, the rookie. Remember, he was great, and it's like, oh, great, we're gonna have Brandon Hughes for like the next 6 years.
Was that Scott Efros that year too?
Scott Efros was there. Michael Rucker, Michael Givens, Mark Leiter. They had Rowan Wick for a while. They had Hayden Wisniewski after the trade. I mean, they had guys who, whoever they brought in was pretty decent, really. I mean, they just had a good bullpen that year.
Yeah. And I wonder if some of that could be there was zero pressure.
Yeah, they finished 14 games under 500. So it might
so bad. Yeah. It's like, nobody's getting nervous pitching for the 22 Cubs.
But they're going to have a lot of decisions to make in the bullpen. A lot of it will depend on health. And the other part is, how many starting pitchers do you realistically want to have pitching out of your bullpen? Do you want to have Cabrera and Assad and Imanaga / Robertson pitching out of your bullpen? It's a lot of spots for guys who aren't really bullpen guys. Ben Brown, there's another one. That'd be 4. That seems like maybe too many.
Yeah, and it makes it tough. Now, with a guy like Brown, who knows how to warm up because he's been a reliever, but when you've got guys who've never done it, they take longer to warm up, which means you have to plan farther ahead. You can't really respond as well during games. It's tough to have, and we put one really good one in the bullpen, of course. But if you got 3 or 4 of them down there in the playoffs, you could find yourself in a in a world of hurt because it's like, well, he's still not ready.
I'm not sure Edward Cabrera has warmed up yet this year, really. I mean,
that's all he does. He's great at that. His warm up, you wouldn't believe his warm ups. Oh my God. Cy Young caliber warm ups.
So we've talked a lot about pitching. With the latest injury to Dansby Swanson, now we have to look at the hitting side of things. Dansby Swanson, an oblique. They say he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks. Every time I've ever seen someone have an oblique injury, it is lingering forever. So 4 to 6 weeks for him to return and not be good. I remember the season he played through an injury, and
he's going to miss the first round of the playoffs at a minimum.
I think he has to, right?
Well, I laughed when people are like, "Oh, the Cub medical team says that it's only 4 weeks." That's right. They crack Cub medical team, so it never gets anything wrong. It'll be fine. Everybody's day to day with the Cubs, no matter what.
Well, they're not going to be able to baby Pedro Ramirez anymore. He's gonna have to go up there and hit against righties and lefties.
I think Pedro's really good. Like, that's the one part of this.
I hope so.
That doesn't bother me is more at bats for Pedro Ramirez. Yeah. The problem is I would rather he get them in addition to Dansby instead of Dansby. That's the problem, because it opens another spot where somebody has to hit. And they do have the luxury. Nico he doesn't have a terribly good shortstop arm. But other than that, he was a really good shortstop, and even when he fills in, he's a good shortstop. So, but it will help if Shaw comes back actually healthy, and then you can, you can do more matchups, because right now I think Craig would. I think he looks at Owen Miller and he sees Scott Kingery, and he's like, I'm not playing that guy.
Yeah. No,
that guy couldn't hit in Colorado. I don't know why.
That's like an emergency situation. That's why you need Shaw to at least give yourself, a little bit of.
You basically have a bench player now. It's like last year's bench at the beginning of the year with like John Birdie and Vidal Brujan and a bunch of guys Craig just didn't want to use. Well, now he's got a couple of those spots. So
and we talked about the bullpen construction. I think this was the first year when the season started where I'm like, hey, the Cubs have like a bench, and not only that, they've got guys in the minors who could be credible guys who could come up. Ramirez being one of them, but we thought at the time Alcantara, and we're like, wow, this is it's almost like having too many players. Remember, that was the big issue at one point. They're playing them all in right field because they were running out of spots for everybody. Yep. I'm like, this is a good problem to have. And through attrition and injuries, of course, it's kind of taking care.
That's all right. I'm sure Dylan Carlson and Chas McCormick will be back any day.
Why did the Cubs not bring Nicky Lopez back? What happened? Does he have a prior engagement somewhere?
He's actually playing for somebody.
Oh, is he? Shoot.
Yeah, which is shocking.
Yeah.
My favorite thing, go to Baseball Savant and look at Nicky Lopez's spray chart from last year. It's the best. It's the best because he had one hit last year. His spray chart is one hit, and it's in the infield. They didn't even leave the infield.
Yeah, he was 1 for 18. He is with Texas, and he is he's hitting 274 with his OPS is 631, so he doesn't walk and he doesn't hit for power. But a lot of singles.
Yeah, he would be on the roster instead of Owen Miller.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. And Craig still wouldn't want to use him, and I wouldn't blame him. But be there just in case. He already has a uniform with his name sewn on it, so that saves money. Yeah. I think they found like an old Wade Miller one laying around for Owen. There you go. You got to wear this. That's not my number. Doesn't matter. It's already sewn.
Before we get into next week's predictions, and we can talk about the Cubs White Sox game from yesterday. Off topic, Pat, you want to touch on Kyle Tucker?
Yeah, Kyle Tucker's been in the news lately for getting benched and crying on the bench and dropping fly balls and hitting. Well, not hitting. What do you call it when you don't hit? Going to the plate, not getting hits, and it's been kind of interesting to watch. And some people have drawn comparisons to how when Chris Bryant left the Cubs, the same deal. Although that does seem a little bit different to me. Just because they were former Cubs doesn't mean it's the equivalent. I was looking at it as more of like an Anthony Rendon situation. Remember the Washington National? That guy could mash. He was really good. And he signed with the Angels, and he's only played like 100 games since in 7 years. And he just there's just something about both of them. It's not everybody is a big rah guy. I get it, but the body language for these guys is some guys is just really telling, and sure feels like Kyle Tucker's kind of going through the motions right now.
Yeah, I don't like the Chris Bryant thing because he when he went to he was really good for the Giants, especially in the playoffs in 21, and then his body fell apart. I mean, he just hasn't. He literally has never been healthy in Colorado. Well, I kind of wondered because I was a kid, I don't remember. Is this like what watching Dale Murphy just all of a sudden be bad was? He went from a great player, he was on a Hall of Fame trajectory.
Back-to-back MVPs, right? Just
like Kyle Tucker. And then all of a sudden he was bad. And it's the amazing thing is we literally saw it happen to Tucker because he was so good for the whole first half. He was Kyle Tucker for the first half of the season, and then terrible.
And when he was Kyle Tucker, he was great.
Now, this is my new favorite stat. I heard it today. Do you know what Kyle Tucker's WAR is this year for the Dodgers? His baseball reference WAR.
It's not as good as PCA's WAR yesterday.
That's what it's going to. It's 0.1.
Right? Oh yeah.
Pete was 0.5 yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I just looked up Dale Murphy. He had his MVP seasons when he was, in 82, 83, but he was still I didn't even realize this, but he was an all-star for 4 more years and still 5.5 WAR, 7.7 1 year. I mean, it was only in 1988, he fell to 3.1 WAR, which is I think the beginning of the drop for him. But he was 32 at the time.
Yeah. So it's
And
not.
yeah. And he had a 226 batting average, but that's back before anybody paid attention to like OPS and all the other stuff. So defense, things like that. So he was in his 30s when he clunked out. But it did happen. It was pretty sharp. But he went from 7.7 WAR to 3.1 to 1.6 to 1 to 0. I mean, it was not a pretty fall. But I think for Tucker, he did it younger, right? Like,
he's 30, right?
Yeah. So
Dale Murphy in 87 when he was 31 years old. So this is a couple of years, like 1, 2, 3. It's 4 years after his back-to-back MVPs. Was a 7.7 WAR.
Yeah.
So it's not a count. Dale should be in the Hall of Fame. Like, he was good. He was great long enough that he should be in the Hall of Fame.
I'm a little biased towards that era. Like, I was a big Dave Parker fan because when the Cubs were not in the playoffs, which was every year at the time, I watched Dave Parker in the playoffs, and he was fun to watch. He was really good, and Dale Murphy was really good. And those guys, I think, they finally let Parker in, but he had to basically be on his deathbed to do it. I'd like to see them let Dale Murphy. And I mean, if Harold Baines is in the Hall of Fame, I feel like we can make room.
Well, there's Harold Baines, basically, if you use that as a precedent, that Hall of Fame gets awfully big.
Use that as a precedent. Mark Grace is coming in next year. in a class of 70 people, probably. Yeah.
Last point on Kyle Tucker. I guess a question for you first, Pat. Do you think he's just that kind of player that can thrive in a Houston type of market, but having the national spotlight on you in LA with that contract now getting all kinds of national attention, is that the kind of thing that he might not be able to play up to?
When he was in Houston, he had Altuve and Bregman and a bunch of other guys who were stars on that team, right? So, he could probably slide into he was probably better than the fourth best player on that offense, but he could sort of assume the position of fourth best player, even though he outperformed it. Maybe it is. Maybe he just has. Maybe he's in his own head. It's hard to say, but I will say that he could become, and I didn't think anybody could do this, the one baseball player who might be able to destroy the Dodgers and slow them down, and also
cause a lockout.
Next year in baseball. So, I mean, he could destroy baseball and the Dodgers in one season. It's amazing.
I have a solution for this, and it would benefit the Dodgers and the Cubs. So last year with the Cubs, in road games, he hit 292, 399, 524 with 15 homers and 47 RBIs. This year on road games with the Dodgers, he's hitting 269, 364, 458 with 9 homers and 37 RBIs compared to 189, 286, 272 at Dodger Stadium. So the Cubs and Dodgers do a timeshare with Kyle Tucker where he only plays road games for both teams.
Sure.
I like it.
I mean, really, the team to do that with, although they can't afford it, would be the White Sox, since one of the teams is always out of town anyway.
Poor Kyle would just always he's like a rock band. He'd
be a Chicago player, but never play in Chicago.
Don't bother to get a place in Chicago, Kyle. You're
and
never
in the Cubs Sox head to head, they could just give him days off to rest.
Well, he would just play in the other park and see if that
play in the other park.
Let's talk about the White Sox as the Cubs and Sox played. They have a 3-game series at Wrigley Field. They played last night. Both you and I were in attendance, Pat. I was not in the bleachers. You were, right? Is that you out
there? I am smart enough and old enough to know not to sit in the bleachers for Cubs Sox games. Honestly, and I've told you this, but I don't particularly enjoy going to Cubs Sox games. I'll do it maybe once a year. When I was younger, I'd go to a lot of them. We used to go down to the Cell for games too, and we'd go to all the ones at Wrigley, right? I have grown out of that. Although we did see some doozies, like we did see AJ Pierzynski get his face punched in by Michael Barrett.
We did.
run away with his tail between his legs like a coward. But as a general rule, I don't like the games because I feel that it gets a little too. The fans just don't behave particularly well at these games, and they overblow it. And I'm not going to I'm not going to say that one fan base is worse than the other, but the Sox fans definitely get very when they are winning, they are extraordinarily obnoxious. Just like your little brother, like he beats you in basketball like once out of 100 times, whatever kind of thing. And when they lose, they get drunk and angry, and they just want to punch people. So it's like a lose-lose situation. Like I don't want to be punched, and I don't want to be jeered at, and have people with their fingers in my face. So I just try to avoid those series in general.
I thought that this game was, first of all, it was Imanaga gave up a home run, but otherwise made it through 10 strikeouts, 2 hits. I felt good until Benintendi comes in and hits a pinch hit home run. It seemed impossible that was about to happen.
Well, I thought that was. He hit a really good pitch from Matt Karchner. I mean, Ryan Zephyr-John.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him in the bullpen, by the way, with his 8.44 ERA.
Strike. Just throw one strike. Can you just throw a strike? The Ryan Jefferson strike challenge. I feel like everything I know about this White Sox team, I learned against my will. Like I actively don't pay attention to them. And at one point last night, I was like, how come the banana isn't playing center field? And then I realized he has like one hit in the second half. So they had to go get Brent Doyle, who also can't hit, to play.
I mean, I remember when they got Brent Doyle and be like, oh wow, we really solidified our team. I'm like, solidified it how? Like
guy who could never hit for the Rockies.
Yeah. Like, I mean, couldn't hit for the Rockies for years.
Yeah.
The Pete Crow Armstrong was able to
lead off home run.
Hit the leadoff home run. He ended up finishing the game with 31 home runs and 30 stolen bases. Again, still only PCA and Sammy Sosa to accomplish that.
32 stolen bases. What am I missing? Did he?
Yes.
He stole another base last night, right?
Yeah, last night. Yep.
So I will say that although I did, the outcome of the game was satisfactory. During the course of the game, I had more moments of displeasure than pleasure. And I think part of it was Cubs giving up 5 runs, but only 4 hits.
Yeah.
Like, because the walks, right? And that was frustrating to me is watching Cubs pitchers. Yeah. I mean, I guess it was, how many walks did the Cubs give up last night? They gave up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right?
8. Yeah. So
that's too many.
And I walked the leadoff guy in like 5 different innings, I think.
Yeah. So 8 walks too, but the four hits, basically 2 of which were home runs, a 2-run and a 3-run. Meanwhile, the Cubs had 14 hits and 6 walks, and they were doing their usual Cub best to ensure that they didn't score runs. They scored the least amount of runs possible for the people that were on base. And even when the Cubs finally tied it up in the 9th, for which I was very thankful for, by the way, they still had a chance to win the game outright. Wasn't it like 1st and 3rd with 1 out or something? And they couldn't do it.
Well, that was some pretty savvy base running from Alex Bregman there.
Yes.
Where they, for the 3rd time this year, they tried the intentionally get picked off first base and we'll score the run play. And it hasn't worked at all.
No.
It didn't work the first time because Kevin Alcantara just immediately ran into the tag as fast as he could.
Yes.
The second time, Happ slid into home plate instead of running through it. So the tag beat him because the tag of the runner beat him getting home because for some reason he's sliding. Yeah. And then I don't know what Bregman was doing last night. He's like a foot off of third base and he still gets tagged up.
I mean, and then he
ran directly into the third baseman.
And then he ran 5 feet behind third base bag afterwards. So they would have. I thought that was a bad play. Unless Pete Crow Armstrong is on third, don't play this. But the sad part was even before that, with 1st and 3rd and 1 out, when a fly ball would have won the game. First he had Amaya. What do we say about Amaya these days? I just feel like, they're using Carson Kelly a lot, and I think I know why. He struck out, and then of course Carson Kelly comes up, grounds into a fielder's choice, and it was just not a great way to end the 9th. After we'd already had the fiasco with Bregman before that. Yeah, I went into extra innings with very little in the way of optimism.
That was a terrible error by the White Sox, though. That led
Yes,
to
thankfully.
Right.
Well,
led
and
to the
it's a good thing they made it, because on that play, Hap was running and he ran to second base and he stopped on the bag, not looking at the third base coach or the play behind. He wasn't doing either. He was just kind of like, and then he realized the ball had gotten away, and it took another bad throw for him to score. It was like, what?
Yeah.
Are you just completely unaware of what was going on the field. I also thought Craig did a weird thing. That's why I said earlier, he used Tyrone Taylor pinch ran for Bregman. And then he needed a pinch runner for, it was either Amaya or Kelly.
It was Kelly at second. Yeah,
that's right. Kelly he was the man for man in the 10th. And I joked, I said, Pete's going to need to hit a triple to score him from.
Because last time he got a base hit, Kelly got thrown out at home, right?
Yep. Yeah. Now, I know you're not playing. I know you're not playing for extra innings at that point, but I didn't understand, like, why are you running for Bregman? I mean, I know he's not fast, but he's not slow. You've got much slower guys to worry about keeping and that necessitated moving several guys around, because you had to bring, they must have played Owen Miller.
They did.
He would have had
Miller
to come
came
in. Good old number 66 for some reason. They're like big Munakari. I can't say it. Didn't say his name right. Munataka Murakawa. Was that his name? I don't remember.
Starting in the 5th inning of that game, the Cubs had a man in scoring position, if not multiple people in scoring position, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, half the time with less than 2 outs. And other than that play where the Horner got the single and there was the fielding error, it was rough going.
Thanks to Jordan Hicks finally walking some guys. I was extremely frustrated to see him come in and actually be good for an inning. I'm like, this is not the Jordan Hicks that I remember from St. Louis. I was ready for all the walk. Here come the walks, and then the Cubs able to make him pay. And thank goodness for Carson Kelly continuing his amazing ABS challenges. Got another big one there. So he's going to get himself another contract or two just for being a great ABS challenge.
In combination with the Cubs having no other catchers. So I thought that in the 10th inning, you have Carson Kelly on second, right? And Pete Armstrong is the first batter up, left-handed pitcher. I thought for sure, and I was talking to the people on both sides of me, including Michael Zink, like, okay, they're going to walk Pete. Then Suzuki's going to come up and strike out or into a double play. And then Michael Busch is going to come up and strike out on 3 pitches because lefty on lefty, he's toast, right? And that was sort of my working hypothesis at the time. And when they decided to pitch to Pete, I thought that was peculiar. So the first 2 pitches were balls. I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
You're just going to pitch around him. Now that it's 2-0, you might as well just like walk him, right? Like, he didn't bite, don't. And then instead they got threw a fastball in, called strike. It's like, oh, so it's 2-1. And then of course he grooved one, and so did Pete. He grooved it out of the ballpark for his second home run to go with his double, single, and walk and stolen base in the game. And I just
homered on the first pitch, homered on the last pitch of the game.
Yes, right, which has only happened a few times in history, right? What a peculiar decision to make by Will Venable. And Steve Stone was defending it today, the decision. And I just, like, Pete Armstrong is one of the few players on the team who can hit the clutch. And this team is notoriously bad at hitting in the clutch. Like Suzuki, Busch, Bregman, Hap, you name it. Like, they're terrible. Like, they're among the worst in all of baseball. And Pete is red hot and was demonstrating that in this game. And when he gets red hot, he's hot, right? I just couldn't understand where that came from, where that decision came from.
Yeah, I mean, Venable basically managed it like the Sox had scored.
Yeah.
And he was afraid to put the winning run on base. Well, the winning run is already on base, Max. It doesn't matter how many other guys score behind him, you still lose. So there's no reason to pitch to Pete there.
And Pete's a lefty, and you have a lefty pitcher, sure. But this isn't the Pete from last year who could have hit left-handed pitchers. This is the Pete that can hit left-handed pitchers. And I would rather have him as a lefty in a clutch situation than Suzuki as a right-handed hitter pitching or hitting against a left-handed pitcher in a clutch situation because Pete comes through. I mean, Pete versus lefties this year is hitting 301 with a 935 OPS. I don't know. I'll take that. Like I don't see what they saw that I did not see there. Either walk him or intentionally walk him, but don't throw a strike.
Don't pitch to him. Doesn't make any
No.
sense. Let's do predictions for the rest of the series. 2 more against the White Sox, and then on the road for 3 at Seattle, and then the Cubs will continue the road trip in Arizona before coming home for a huge homestand against Cincinnati and Milwaukee. So of the 5 remaining games, Andy
we have to do all 6.
Okay. All right. So of the 6 games, 1 already having a victory. So 0-5.
I know they're at least going to win 1.
Yes. So of the 6, 3 against the White Sox, 3 at Seattle.
Yeah, I'll say 4-2. I think we know they have to win one of the next 2 games against the Sox to retain the exciting
Cup?
EP WinTrustInfotapes.com Cup, whatever it's called.
Which they've had since before COVID, I think, right? It's crazy how long they've had this thing.
Well, let's see. The Sox have still never beaten Craig in Wrigley.
Yeah.
And I believe he's 11-3 against the Sox so far. So yeah, it's been a long time.
It's like when the Bears get a head coach and they say the first thing we're going to do is we're going to beat that team up north, Green Bay. He came in and he said, I don't know, we might not beat the Brewers, but we're going to beat that team just south of us called the White Sox. Jed has been building these teams for 6 years solely to beat the White Sox.
Yeah.
Did a great job.
Really helped when the White Sox didn't try to win 3 straight seasons too. That was good.
I think the Cubs are definitely going to win the first game. I think the second game is going to be a toss-up. It'll be like the 3rd or 4th inning. It'll be tied. Who knows what happens there.
Maybe Michael Busch will actually hit a homer.
I mean, you think, and Pete's good for at least 1, right? So
Sure.
But my concern, and then I don't even, do the White Sox even have a starter for Wednesday? I don't even know if they have anybody on the books yet for that. But they go to Seattle.
Rich Dotson?
Yes, that would be great. Lamar Hoyt would be better. So I think the problem for the Cubs in Seattle, although who knows, Seattle's not that good, but so the Cubs miss Gilbert and Kirby, which is great, right? They do get Brian Wu, who's a pretty good pitcher. This Hancock kid is decent pitcher, and then Miller. So that's going to be, from a pitching standpoint, that's going to be harder than I prefer. I just don't know if the Seattle's going to score many runs against us. I'm going to say 3-3 just to be conservative. I just have this feeling that, that's.
I'm with Andy. I think it's a 4-2 week.
I hope so.
Here.
We could use a 4-2 week after that.
I think so.
Now, last week was so 4-2 after the first 2 games, right? And then it was 3-3, and we're at that point of the season where you get a 4-2 week followed by another 4-2 week, and then basically you've got the first wild card kind of you go into that Milwaukee series on August 31st. It'd be nice to go into that series playing on house money, knowing that we're the first wild card no matter what.
But you could go for the division.
So now we could win the division potentially with these 7 games against these guys. Yeah.
And the way we close the show every week is we go back in Cubs history to this day in Cubs history, and we try to guess the lineup that the Cubs put out there. Pat, what year are we going back to today?
We're going back, all the way back, to the year 2001.
Ooh. Okay.
This is it's 25 years ago. It's the 25th anniversary of this game.
Okay.
This was a Cubs team that might be the most underrated Cubs team of the century. This Cubs team did not make the playoffs, but they won 88 games, which is more than they won in 03 and 04, and more than the same.
And they were also terrible in 99 in 2000 and 2002.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's one of those Cubs
Right.
they used to have that would all of a sudden just like show up out of nowhere and be good. And everybody's like, oh,
Yeah.
and then it would just be terrible again.
It's like you're like 15, 16 games over 500 there. They lost this game, which dropped them to 15 games over 500. I mean, they were about as good as this current Cubs team was in terms of record at this point. They lost at Arizona 5-3. Unfortunately, they ran into a Randy Johnson, who was in the midst of his third consecutive Cy Young, I think, at the time. So, no crime there.
So what month is this?
This is today.
Oh, it's on the average. So it's
This
August.
is the 25th anniversary. Yeah.
Oh, literally
August.
the 25th anniversary.
Oh yeah. No, it's
Okay.
So
before I
we're
get
post trade deadline.
Yeah,
of
post-trade
2001.
before I get to the Cubs lineup, a few notables in the Arizona lineup. There were 2 former Cub players, stars, and 1 current Cub team member, maybe not a player, in the lineup for Arizona that day.
Okay. So Mark Grace.
Mark Grace was batting 4th. Yep,
Craig Counsell.
in 310. Craig Counsell hit leadoff. Yes.
Oh, there you go. And another former Cub. Oh, Luis Gonzalez.
Yes, was batting 3rd, hitting 346 with tremendous numbers.
Yeah, amazing. All of a sudden, he's hitting homers all of a sudden.
What a
Nobody
time.
knew why.
What a time.
Yeah. There was also a future Cub in this game playing catcher.
Yeah.
Damian Miller.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Damian Miller. So
Yeah, he would be a 2002 All-Star.
yeah. 4 Cubs
Bob
in this
Renly
lineup.
picked his whole freaking 01 roster to go up to Milwaukee and tie.
Yeah, and tie. Right. Oh, what a game that was.
I was there.
Oh God. All right. So on the Cubs ledger here,
All right, so
we had who was the starting pitcher this day, by the way?
starting pitcher on the 01 Cubs.
He wore a raspberry
Oh, Jason Bray.
beret. Yes.
Jason Bray. All right.
Yeah. Former Sox, right?
Yep.
And then in the bullpen that day, we had he was backed up by none other than Will Ullman and David Weathers.
Ullman,
David Weathers had a good year.
The first go around of Will Ullman.
The 7.15 ERA version, yeah. David Weathers, however, had a good season with the Cubs that year, and he's one of those guys who had quite a few good seasons. He pitched 19 years, quite a few. He had a couple rough years too, but yeah, he wasn't. I mean, for a bullpen guy, he was not. He was not a terrible guy for 12 of the 19 years. Okay, so the Cubs lineup that day.
Okay.
Who was batting first?
Eric Young.
Eric Young, senior. Although at the time, admittedly, he was not a senior, probably. Yes.
Two I'm worried about. It was two. Is it two Ricky Gutierrez?
Two is not. Ricky Gutierrez is further down in the lineup. They wanted his RBI bat in there.
So who hit two? Michael Tucker? Did he hit second?
No, this was our center fielder.
Of
the future. He was a rookie at the time.
This is Corey Patterson.
Corey Patterson.
Oh, okay.
This was the ill-fated. He was barely out of I think he had barely managed to Double-A that year.
Yeah,
right? And they brought him up.
He was overmatched, but he got better.
3 was Sammy.
By the way, let's just take a step back and look at the Sammy Sosa 2001 season. So I said the Cubs had this amazing 88-game win season, and it was basically all Sammy Sosa.
What was Sammy's WAR that year? 64.
10.3. This was his best season ever, and he finished second in the MVP. Would have finished first, but Bonds and with his Balco problems, right? Sosa was an all-star, Silver Slugger. I'm just going to give you a couple numbers. He led the league in runs with 146, our cleanup hitter. He had 64 home runs, 34 doubles, and 5 triples. He had 116 walks.
Yeah.
That led to a 437 on-base percentage to go with his 737 slugging percentage for a 1.174 OPS. But in addition to leading the league in total bases with 425, he led a league in another stat: runs, total bases, and RBI. where he was going after Hack Wilson on this one. 160 runs batted in 160 games played. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And he
Wow.
led the league in intentional walks at 37. Apparently, the rest of the lineup behind him wasn't quite as intimidating. And
right,
you're about
so
to find out why.
Wouldn't cleanup have been Fred McGriff?
No, cleanup on this day. They had to give Fred a day off every once in a while.
Oh yeah, Fred. Now Fred that year, his numbers are really good with the Cubs.
Yeah.
But they all came in like the last 2.5 weeks. He was awful.
Yeah.
And the next year, same thing. He started off
Did they
terrible.
They got him in July or August.
They got him before the trade deadline, but he couldn't decide if he wanted to actually come or not. And he sat in Tampa for like 3 days before he finally showed up.
When they announced the trade, I was in the bleachers at a game.
Yeah.
We were all very excited.
I was driving home with my dad from Platteville. And they announced it during the Cub game. We were all excited. And then we got very unexcited after we saw Fred play.
So while the Cubs manager was batting leadoff for Arizona, the Cubs cleanup hitter.
Oh, God. Is Ron Coomer hitting cleanup?
Yes. You got me. And then batting fifth.
So Ron Coomer is playing third base, right?
First. He was filling in for Freddie.
So
In the fifth hole, in the 5 hole, was future Milwaukee Brewer. Looks like a Brewer. Looks like a softball player. Let's see. He looks like a 16-inch softball player.
Matt Stairs.
That's right. 801 OPS, though. And then batting sixth was the perennial shortstop RBI threat.
That's your Ricky Gutierrez.
That's Ricky Gutierrez.
And then Jeremy's favorite player ever was hitting seventh in playing third base. You called me practically in tears when his career almost ended in St. Louis.
Bill Miller.
Oh, Bill Miller, yeah.
When he broke his kneecap in St. Louis, he was never the same. He was awesome. He was such a good get for. I was so excited.
He was hitting 299 at the time with an 878 OPS. I think he went on to hit 300 for the year. Yeah, that was your guy.
My guy. I love that guy.
The catcher this year, interestingly enough, in this game was a guy who had a negative WAR, only batted 135 times. He was not what I would call the starting catcher on the team.
So it's not Joe Girardi. It's Roberto. Is it Roberto Machado?
It is Robert Machado. Yes.
Robert Machado.
Yes. Robert Machado. Yeah. And then we had Beret. Joe Girardi did pinch hit for Beret.
Now Joe would be an all-star the next year.
He would be, because they ran out of catchers and he was like friends with somebody and in town or whatever.
Well, he was the only one who answered. He answered his phone.
Yes.
They were calling looking for a catcher, and Joe was the first guy to answer, so he got to be an all-star.
Well, I was at the game when Darryl Kyle had passed and nobody knew it, and we're all sitting there in the bleachers in 150-degree heat waiting to find out why the game hadn't started yet. And then Joe Girardi was the one who came out and made the announcement, and they canceled the game. And then he became an all-star like a couple weeks later. So good for him. The other pinch hitter that day, a guy who I used to like, he played with the Expos. He was probably never.
Was it Rondell?
No, he was so we're in 2001. So this is his like second to last season in baseball. He's 32 years old. But he's a former Expo and Dodger middle infielder, played for the Cardinals and Baltimore. Not a bad hitter, really, all things considered. Second baseman. He had speed when he was young. He stole 463 bases in his career.
Delino to Shields.
That's right. Delino to Shields. Pinch hit for us.
Senior.
Senior. Right.
Yes.
2 seniors.
Yeah. And that was there you go.
So Rondell did play for those 01 Cubs, right?
Yes, he was on that
and team. He was awesome when he played, and he could barely make it to the field because his knees had fallen off. I love him.
As is often the case with the Cubs, like Cal Daniels, right? They you just kind of get them a little bit late.
Lieber was good that year too, right?
Who's that?
With Lieber was on that team that year, right?
Lieber was the best pitcher in the year. He was a 20-game winner.
Yeah. He was. This was his big year. Okay.
That was a team that had Lieber, Beret, Kerry Wood, and Kevin Tapani, with none other than Flash Gordon coming out of the pen.
Yep. When he was healthy, he was hurt.
And when he wasn't, we had Jeff Facero coming out. Yeah.
And all I remember Facero for was he gave up the grand slam to Ryan Klesko in San Diego. That felt like that was the end.
Yeah.
Beret had thrown it was it Alan Bennis? I think it had to be Beret. It was Beret who threw 7 shutout innings or whatever in a game in San Diego, and the Cubs were up 2-0, and then Facero came in and gave up a grand slam to Klesko, and they lost.
And by the way, yes, Fred McGriff, I guess, would play first base most of the last 2 months of that year.
Yeah.
Corey Patterson, while playing center field that day, was not the primary or even the number 2 center fielder. The Cubs were blessed at the time, Jeremy, with Gary Matthews Jr. and Michael Tucker on the same team. Can you imagine?
Well, Tucker was their first big trade that year.
Yep, they got him from the Royals, right?
Did Damon Buford play on the 01 Cubs too?
He did a little bit, just a few.
Because I know 2000 is when they opened in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the starting center fielder.
So he played 35 games. Patterson played 59. Matthews played 106, and Tucker played 63. So
01 is the year when Don Baylor had Lieber sit out a 90-minute rain delay and come back.
And
throw a complete a one-hitter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rondo White had 2.1 WAR that year, so he was.
It was amazing when he played. He had 328 or something like that.
Yeah, 900 OPS. Can't complain about that.
No.
Also on that team, and Sammy needed somebody behind him in the lineup, right? That team also had starting catcher, and this is probably why Joe Girardi really split time at catcher. Machado was just sort of like a one-off. But do you remember who Girardi split time with at catcher that year? A negative 1.0 WAR guy, and this might have been his best season as a Cub. Certainly his last, I think. He's a big free agent signee of the Cubs.
Oh, Todd Hundley.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
And then just
that
to round
that had to be Todd's first year then.
First of 2, I guess.
Yeah.
To round it out.
The year. So 02 is the year when he passed out at Busch Stadium, right? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He just, all coked up and he just tipped over. I'm sure, dehydrated. And he just tipped over,
right,
face down onto home plate, and they had to wake him up. It's oh, this is good. Things are going great. And then he was 99, right, when he started his career because he didn't want to wear his dad's number.
Yes.
And then he started off so bad, he said, I can't hit with 99, so he went to 9. He couldn't hit with that either. But
yeah. This team, in addition to the characters we've already mentioned, had a few other notable names from history. They weren't very good players, but remember Augie Ojeda?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
he was
come back to haunt them in the 07 playoffs.
Minus 0.4 WAR. Also at minus 0.4 WAR that year, Julio Zaletta.
Oh,
remember
God,
him?
I can still picture him pruning the left field ivy.
Yeah.
In his one cameo appearance in the outfield, and he tried to pull the ball out of the ivy. He's I think they still show that in spring training to show youngsters,
not to do.
young prospects, don't go into the ivy for the ball.
So the Ron Santo's favorite player, Sweet Rosie Brown, also on the team, the outfielder, and don't forget Todd Dunwoody.
Oh yeah, another one
on that roster.
Henry was obsessed with those Marlins outfielders and trying to get all of them. Who was the one he wanted so bad? Mark Kotze.
Yes.
He could never get him, but he got Dunwoody, and then he got another. Oh no, I think it was Jeremy Hermida. He kept trying to get. There was always a rumor the Cubs are going to trade for Jeremy Hermida. Yeah.
But they don't want to give up all their trade, process because they still have Brian Roberts to acquire from Baltimore.
Yeah, right.
One last note on that team. That was the era of Julian Tavares, Juan Cruz. Remember Todd Van Poppel, the boy wonder from Sports Illustrated?
So he had 01 was his really good year, right? Or was it 2000?
who
He had one really good year in the bullpen for the Cubs.
Van Poppel, that was his year. 2.52 ERA, 2 WAR.
Yep.
Yeah. Farnsworth, ties till 4. Kyle.
Ties till 4.
He was there. Yeah. And then they had like Courtney Duncan and some other notables. Ron Mayhay, Manny Ibar, Carlos Zambrano was a rookie. Don't forget Carlos Zambrano was rookie here.
Ron Mayhay, the Shohei of his time. He does not get enough credit. Ron had already made it to the big leagues as a position player and then came back as a pitcher.
Yeah, which is impressive.
And he's from the south suburbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So did the Cardinals win the division that year?
Maybe the Astros. I don't know. Look that up.
Oh,
don't forget Joe Borowski was on that team.
Oh yeah, Sweaty Joe. Sure. That was when he made. So he made a start against the Giants, and Barry Bonds hit a grand slam off of Sweaty Joe that is still orbiting the Earth. And if you'd have told any of us then that 2 years later we would come to love Joe Borowski, no one would have believed.
Yeah. The Astros tied the Cardinals, but the Astros won.
That's division. Right. The Astros won the division, and the Cardinals to this day have a stupid wall decal of their division championships, and they have 0-1 on it.
Yeah. Yep. Wade Miller was the ace pitcher for the Astros that year.
Oh yeah, future Cup.
Roy Oswald, yeah.
Owen, it's got Owen Mays. That's the jersey Owen Miller's wearing.
Yeah, right. So that was the 2001 season. We were just 2 years away from the glorious 03 year.
Yeah, the 01 season. I remember younger me, so desperate for the Cubs to win something that I remember after the tragedy of 9/11 had sunk in and baseball was going to take a break. I remember thinking to myself, I think this is just the break the Cubs need. They just need a week off. Everything's going to be fine. Sammy came back, hit a home run, his first at bat. That was
right. He had the flag and everything.
Everything went to hell. Billy Williams had the flag in his pocket, gave it to Sammy. Might as well ended the season right then because it got bad. It didn't get any better.
I mean, was that the most October baseball the Cubs played in my lifetime up until then? Maybe.
Yeah.
Because they had to push everything back, and they played. Let's see, they played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in October. So that's more they played in '84 or '89.
They had played since how many games did the 45 series go? 6. So most October games probably since 1945. Yep.
Yeah.
Always a good time.
3-3 that October.
Always a good time going back in history and remembering a Cubs lineup. Fun way to end the show, and another fun show in the books. Andy, thank you for taking time out to talk Cubs with us tonight. Please remind all of our listeners how they can find your work on the internet.
So the newsletter and the podcast you can find at pointlessexercise.com.
And you can follow us on all the social media platforms at Wrigleyville Nat. If you want to support the show, the best way to do that is to go to our YouTube channel where the video version of the podcast is. Give us those likes and subscribes to help us work the algorithm so other Cub fans can find the show. You can also tell all your Cub fan friends about the show and have them subscribe through audio channels as well. There's trying to get that YouTube channel up and running, so trying to get as many likes and subscribes as we can over there. So we really appreciate the help there. Thank you to everyone who's been buying T-shirts, hats, mugs over at the store. All the links available at WrigleyvilleNation.com. And with that, we're going to wrap it up and call it a podcast. Pat, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks again, everyone, for listening. We'll talk to you again next time.